So in order to help you make a personal statement that will actually stand out, we're going to just go through some of the highlights of things that you should consider when you're doing the personal statement. And this is one of the things that I think InGenius Prep is particularly good at, is helping you hone not just your personal statement, but actually your entire written application, so that you can, again, present yourself as the best candidate possible when you're applying to these medical schools. So I'm not sure how many of you guys have already looked into this, but for the personal statement, there are some limitations. There's a 5,300 character space limitation, which is approximately 1 page. And there's also a sort of running timeline when you can submit your AMCAS application, but we would recommend that you submit at the very beginning of June. In fact, for the most part, there are very few exceptions to this, but I would recommend that you hit submit on the date that the AMCAS opens. So the job of a personal statement, unfortunately, in some ways, it's quite large. There are many things that you have to do, and you have 1 page to do it in. So these are some of the things that we expect you to do in your personal statement. You need to tell us, and by tell us, I actually mean show us who you are. You need to show us why medicine. You need to show us that you're passionate about the field of medicine, that you have qualifications that are going to make you a great future doctor and also a great colleague to all of your friends who will be joining you at this school. We want you to show your personality, and also we want to show us how your entire application fits together. So a lot of people who apply to medicine, they have very diverse interests, and that means that they've had a lot of really great experiences that are all over the board, and that's amazing. However, your personal statement is the time where you can kind of tie all of those things together and show us who is the takeaway person. What's the takeaway message that we should get from your application, even if it doesn't quite make sense if you were to just look at all of the individual pieces. And most importantly here, like I said at the very beginning, you want to show us all of these things as opposed to tell us. You don't need to write, I am compassionate. You need to show me a story in which you were compassionate, and I can walk away from the story being like, wow, that person really cares, etc., etc. So obviously, this is a lot to accomplish in just 1 page, and that's why whether you go with InGenius Prep or not, honing this personal statement will be a major task for you during the application process, and you really have to take it upon yourself to find people who will be able to help you edit, help you read, help you proofread, etc., so that when you're submitting, you are submitting an exceptional piece of writing that also highlights that you are a strong communicator. So something that we talk about a lot at InGenius Prep is the idea of this Holy Trinity. And so these are kind of 3 things that you need to keep in mind while writing your personal statement. So the Holy Trinity, as we would describe it, would be you. Remember, this is a personal statement. Lots of people tell stories during their personal statement, and a lot of times those stories involve somebody else who got sick, somebody else who made an impression on you when you were a little kid. That's great, that's fine, but at the end of the day, if you don't tell me about you during your personal statement, I don't care about the other person. You also have to convey your passion for medicine and then your qualifications as a future physician. So again, this is going back to what I was just kind of saying. The personal statement, the idea of the personal statement is that it's personal. It should be about you. If it's not about you, it isn't a personal statement. And then, as I was also saying before, you want your personal statement to be the thing that ties your entire application together. So you don't want anybody reading your personal statement and being more confused about who you are. You want them to read your personal statement and be like, oh, this is Johnny. Johnny is the person who's going to contribute to the research side of our school. Sally's the type of person who's going to be the leader and who's going to take on, the many discrepancies that exist between healthcare access in different parts of the world. Whatever it is, you have to pick your thing and you have to show us in your personal statement that this is who you are and this is how you're going to contribute to the coming class. It's hard because so many people that are applying to medical school at this point, I mean, you guys are all just brilliant and overqualified, to be totally honest. Every day I get happier that I'm not competing against the people who are applying to medical school now. But you have to figure out the things that make you stand out as an applicant during this whole thing and come across as likable and interesting. So there's a lot to accomplish when talking about yourself. And then, of course, you need to address your passion for medicine. So a lot of times people will say things like, I grew up and I loved science, and so I want to be a doctor. And yes, there is a lot of science in medicine, but you have to show us that you're truly passionate about the medicine part. The medicine part is about healing and touching people and connecting to people. And we want to see that you have thought about this and that you are making a mature decision to enter the medical profession. So the way that you might want to address this in your personal statement to start is just by thinking about why you are passionate about medicine. And we usually guide our students to ask themselves a lot of questions until they're able to come to, I'm so sorry, you guys, I just have this thing stuck in my throat. Hold on one second. So a lot of times people have a really hard time explaining exactly why they want to go into medicine. Some of you, I'm sure, decided that you wanted to go into medicine when you were like 3 years old and you saw a toy stethoscope for the first time, and that's totally fine. But on your personal statement, you really need to be introspective and you need to think about these things. And so we'll give you guys like a series of questions that can kind of help you come up with the real reason or exactly how you're going to present your interest in medicine. So things like, when did you first know that you wanted to become a doctor? Why did you know that at that point? If you couldn't be a doctor, what would you do? That often gets people thinking about the very reasons that they actually want to be a doctor, because you have to think about what other job would I even consider? Going through this process of just asking yourself these questions actually oftentimes really clarifies things and enables you to write a personal statement that's a lot more clear both to you and to the reader. And then, of course, we want to hear about your qualifications as a future physician. And again, I can't highlight this enough. It's not that you need to tell us what your qualifications are necessarily. You should show us. You should be telling us about yourself in a way that makes us think this person is compassionate, kind, mature, interesting, intelligent, inquisitive. These are the things that we want to get from your personal statement. And again, this is just sort of a list of some of those adjectives that I just said that really make you stand out and make us think, okay, this person is somebody who's going to contribute to a larger pool of people who are going to form a class at a particular school.